You know that feeling when you're watching the news or scrolling online and you just feel exhausted by it all? It's like we're all stuck in our corners, just yelling past each other. Well, you're not crazy for feeling that way. In this explainer, we're going to dig into why our disagreements have become so painful and maybe, just maybe, find a better way forward.
Man, this quote from historian Paul Crochet just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it?
A mutual denigration society. That's exactly what it feels like. It's less about having a real conversation and more about, just tearing the other person down. It's a vicious cycle of insults, and honestly, it just leaves everyone feeling angry and divided, and none of our real problems ever get solved. So that's the big question for us today, right?
How did we get so stuck?
And is there a way out? We're going to tackle this in two parts. First, we'll get into the weeds of why modern political anger is so popular. Then we're going to look back in time, over 100 years ago, to find a powerful set of tools that can help us all learn to disagree better. Think of it as a journey from diagnosis to treatment. Okay, first things first, let's just acknowledge where we are. So much of our public life doesn't feel like a discussion anymore. It feels like a battle. A nonstop culture of conflict.
Where winning the argument is way more important than actually understanding anything.
And what's the result of all this? Total gridlock. Frustration. It gets to a point where we see the other side as not just wrong, but maybe even dangerous. And when we're all dug into our trenches like that, we can't build anything together. So that brings up a really important question. Why did this style of conflict become so darn dominant in the first place? So yeah, why is this fighting style so popular? Well, it's not by accident. It turns out there's a really powerful emotional logic at play here, one that makes all that righteous anger feel not just appealing, but to a lot of people really authentic. To really see this shift, just look at the contrast between two Republican presidents. On one hand, you have George H.W. Bush. He came from a political world where mediation was key. He talked about a kinder, gentler conservatism. His whole thing was about listening, finding a compromise. Now contrast that with Donald Trump, who is really the embodiment of what some have called a knight of righteous anger. His style is all about the fight.
He sees compromising as weak. So what's the thinking here?
Well, for a lot of people who feel completely ignored by the establishment, that bold, even combative style, it looks like honesty. That bluntness feels like someone is finally just telling it like it is, no matter what the so-called experts say. It sends this incredibly powerful signal. I see you, I'm on your side, and I'm going to fight those people who've been screwing you over. This quote from a supporter is, wow. It gets right to the heart of it. When somebody asked about Trump also being an elite billionaire, the answer was, he's our billionaire. See, it's not about policy papers or facts and figures. It's about an emotional allegiance. It's this deep feeling that somebody powerful is finally fighting for them, using his power against an establishment they no longer trust. Okay, so we've seen the culture of conflict, and we've unpacked the appeal of anger. But how in the world do we break this cycle? To find a way forward, we're actually going to look backward to a philosopher who is dealing with these exact same kinds of deep divisions
more than a century ago. Let's meet our guide.
William James. He was a doctor, a psychologist, and a philosopher. And he lived in another time of huge division, a time when brand new scientific ideas were clashing head-on with long-held religious beliefs. He became obsessed with one question. How can good, intelligent people look at the exact same world and come to totally different, passionate conclusions? Sound familiar? James gave us this incredible concept he called sentiments of rationality. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. He said our beliefs aren't just built on pure logic and facts. They're shaped by our life experiences, our emotions, our hopes, our biggest fears. What we believe is often just what feels as if it's true, because it fits the personal story we use to make sense of the world.
It's our gut feeling about what's real. James is anticipating Colbert's idea of truthiness, where things feel true because they match our worldview, sentiments of rationality. It feels as if it's true.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
That's where the truth comes from, ladies and gentlemen. The gut. Truthiness is anyone can read the news to you. I promise to feel the news at you.
And this right here is a total game changer. Because if we really want to communicate with someone we disagree with, just attacking their conclusion is a dead end. It never works. Instead, we have to get curious about their sentiments of rationality. We have to start asking, what's the feeling? What's the personal story that makes this belief feel so real and so important to them? Now, this isn't just some dusty old philosophical idea. It's a practical toolkit. James's work gives us a concrete, real-world way to change how we show up to these tough conversations.
Oh man, we've all been there, right?
You're in an argument, you're armed with all your facts, you're throwing them out there, and you're getting absolutely nowhere. This analogy explains why. Fact-checking alone is like mowing the weeds. It looks good for a second, but it doesn't touch the roots, the deep-down stories and feelings that are feeding the belief. And until you deal with those roots, new weeds, new false beliefs, are just going to keep popping right back up. This insight changes everything. So instead of just seeing a fake news story and dismissing it as a lie that needs to be shot down, what if we saw it as a clue? Like a detective, what's the story behind this story? What is the fear or the sense of unfairness or the hope that makes this particular piece of fakery feel so powerful to someone? Think about it like a horror movie. When we watch one, we know that a monster isn't literally chasing the characters. We know it's not real, but we still jump, we still feel scared because the movie taps into our real primal fears. Well, a lot of outrageous political claims work the exact same way. The people listening might not even believe the literal words, but they respond because the rhetoric gives voice to their very real anxieties, fears about being left behind, losing their place in the world, or being ignored. So here's the method in 3 simple steps. Next time you hear a claim that makes you want to just scream, try this instead. Step 1, pause and listen for the emotion. Forget the words for a second. Are you hearing fear, anger, a sense of injustice? Step 2, look for the story. Ask yourself, what's the feels as if narrative going on here? What's the story that gives this claim its juice? And finally, step 3, talk about that. Engage with that underlying concern, not the crazy headline. That's where a real conversation can actually start. Now look, let's be real. This is not easy. It takes a ton of humility, a lot of patience, and a genuine curiosity about people we might feel really, really far away from.
But it gives us a path out of this endless destructive cycle of just tearing each other down.
This is so important because a common fear pops up right away. People think, wait, if I try to understand them, does that mean I have to agree with them or abandon my own values? And William James was crystal clear on this. No, absolutely not. The goal isn't to surrender what you believe. It's about being able to hold your own convictions and at the same time make a real good faith effort to understand theirs. You might even find it makes your own views stronger. So we'll leave you with this to chew on. What if we just reframed this whole thing? What if disagreement wasn't a war to be won, but an opportunity? An opportunity to actually understand why someone feels the way they do. A chance to see the world from a different angle. And maybe, just maybe, a chance to start figuring things out together.
Once you understand, you have a better chance to persuade and solve problems together. And even if solutions remain out of reach, your holiday dinners will be much more digestible. If you like what you heard here and you want to learn more, check out Dr. Paul's Substack at this address, where you'll find dozens of essays on current events, embedded in their historical contexts, with a dash of William James's insights to help you make sense of our wacky world.